So, continuing with Vezot Sabracha, O Yosef Amar, to chapter 33, verse 13, we're up to Yosef. To Yosef he said, Mivorechas Adonai Artso, blessed by Hashem is his land. Mimeged Shemayim, Meged is she's going to tell us it's the delicacies. She says it means delicacies and sweets. Lashon Adanim V'Mesek. Mimeged Shemayim, with the delicacies of the heavens. Mital, with the dew. Umitahom, and from the depths. Rovetzes Tachatz, crouching below. Rashi tells us, V'Varechas Hashem Artso, blessed by Hashem is his land. Shelo Isa B'Nachal Shvatim. There was not amongst the portion of the tribes, Eretz Maya Kol Tov, a land full of all that is good, like the land of Joseph. The land of Joseph was the most blessed. Umitahom, and from the deep waters, crouching below. What does that mean? Rashi says, Shatahom oleh umelachlech osa, that the deep rises and moistens the land from below. Hatam etzeh b'kol shvatim birkato shel Moshe me'em birkato shel Yaakov. Found with all of the tribes, the blessing of Moses resembles the blessing of Jacob. How so? How so? Doesn't tell us. Mitahom shatahom oed, that the deep rises and moistens the land of Joseph from below. He says, you find with all the tribes that it resembles the blessing of Jacob, but it doesn't tell us how exactly this is like the blessing of Jacob.
Jacob blessed him that the girls climb on the wall to see him. So
that was part of the blessing. That was part of the blessing.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but that distance or height, maybe.
Oh, they go up. Maybe it's, I'm not sure. Do you have a commentary on that there? Do you have a commentary? The Siftei Chachamim or the Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrahi? Do you have one of the commentaries on the Rashi?
It's not showing up.
Just go back to the main commentary.
Gur
Aryeh Maskil Mizrahi. Go down. Start with the Siftei Chachamim. Yeah, here. He says it. You find you just saw it. Go back.
Yeah, I changed it to Hebrew.
Okay. Okay. Rashi. Oh, so wait, go back up. You went down. Rashi is answering the question, are the territories of the other tribes not blessed? Therefore, he explains the other territories were also blessed, but the territory of Yosef was blessed more than all of them. Okay, go on. What else they say? Ritzonolo chiach, he wants to prove by this, bezeh, go down. Minoan sheperush mitomer vetzes tachas. Where is he getting his explanation that the deep rises and moistens the land of Joseph? Maybe it's something else. Therefore, he says that it's similar. And by Jacob, it says, Berkot Shemayim Me'al, Berkot Tahom Rovetzes Tachas. Oh, so that was the blessing. And there it was for sure the depth is coming up from below. So that's what he says. He says this is exactly like the blessing. And so that's how I have to explain why he gives this explanation. Okay, fine. Beautiful. Siftei Chachamim always answers our questions. Almost always. Okay. So now we go on to the next verse.
But another difference between Moshe and Yaakov is that Moshe likens him to Re'em, which I think is
wild, a mythical creature.
Or the antelope that has 2 straight horns.
Well, we haven't got up to it yet.
Yeah, but Yaakov called him a shore.
No, just the opposite. He called him a shore here. He called him a shore. We're about to get to that. Bechor Sharo Adarlo. You see that? Okay, fine. Maybe you can reverse it, Rabbi Yosef. But he also calls him a Re'em because it says, Ka'arne Re'em Yachtav. He calls him both a shor and a Re'em. All right, well, we have to go in order. Verse 14, Umi Meged Tvuo Shamesh. With the delicacies of the sun's crops, Umi Meged Gerash Yirachim. And with the delicacies of the moon's yield. What's the delicacies of the sun's crops? Shaita Artso Pisucha Lachama. His land was open to the sun. Umamtekas Aperos, and it would sweeten the fruits. And Gerash Yirachim. What's the moon's yield? Because there are some fruits that the moon cooks them, meaning to say that they don't need the sun, like cucumbers and pumpkins, that the land that the land drives out and brings forth the fruits from month to month. Okay.
Here in Canada, we talk about the first frost. That before that, the apples are not completely ripe.
Interesting. I think this is just referring to those. I think these gourds. So Rashi is saying that these fruits, they ripen monthly. Every month they come out. And that's because of the changes of the moon. I don't know. Umero share kadem, umimege givosalam. And from the Rosh is Umirosh with the beginning of the early Merosh Hare Kedem. With the beginning of the early mountains. What does that mean? Muvorachas Mereshis Bishul Peros. Rashi says the portion of Joseph is blessed with the beginning of the ripening of the fruits. For the mountains, its mountains are early, Levaker Bishul Perosam, to ripen, to first yield the ripening of their fruits. Davar Acher Magid Shekodma Briasan Shaharim. Their creation preceded the other mountains. Umi Mega Givos Olam, and with the delicacies of the Givat Olam, eternal hills. Rashi says this means Givot Hauseh Perot Olam, hills that make fruits forever. The Einon Post Coast, they don't stop, May Otzar Geshamim, because of the shortage of the rain. Rashi says, Givaot Hauseh Perot Olam Einon Post Coast. Okay. Umi Meged Eretz Umoah, from the sweetness of the earth and its fullness, Uritzon Shochni Sineh, and by the will of the one who dwells in a bush, Tavoso Arosh Yosef, it will come to Joseph's head, Ulikakod Nizirachav, and to the crown of the Nazir of his brothers. What is that? Crown the head. Joseph is called the Nazir of his brothers. Let's see what that means. Rashi says, Kamo shochein sneh, like a bush dwells, like dwelling in a bush. Tehei artzom mevorechas, meritzono, v'nachas rucho shel Kadosh Baruch Hu, that his land will be blessed out of the goodwill and the pleasing of God. Haniglo Atchilo first revealed himself to me in the bush. That's what Rashi says, that land will be full out of the goodwill of the one who first appeared to me in the bush. Ritzon means nacharuach, goodwill and pleasing. Tavoso arosh Yosef, this blessing will come to Joseph's head. And what does it mean Joseph is a Nazir of his brothers? Ifrish me'achov b'mchira. So it means nazir means separated. He's separated from his brothers by being sold.
Rabbi, back to the question of the bush. In Jacob's funeral, they stop in Goren HaAtad, which is also a thorny bush, right?
In Jacob's funeral, well, Goren is not a bush.
No, Atad, because it's mentioned again in Judges where Yotam, the youngest brother of Avimelech, says that the fire will come from that dry bush that is thorny. I'm just wondering if because Joseph is the one who led the funeral and arranged for it, right? So
I don't know. It's a good connection. I have to look into it. I did not remember that. I got to look into it. He gave the mashal of Mashal Yotam, which is the parable of the bush. So yeah, maybe it is. Okay, we're in chapter 33, verse 17. Verse 17. Wow, Elon. Shkoyach, stark. What?
40 grams of protein.
What's that called? What is it? What is it? What's in it? I like high protein meals. 40 grams. Is it milk? But, oh, I don't like that. Messes me up. I don't like the whey protein. Don't agree with me. But you can like it. I'm happy for you. All right. Say wait, late Shabbat. Say the late Shabbat. Wait, sit down when you say it. Sit down. You might not have to sit, but it's better to sit. Baruch. Yeah, Baruch. First make it. Amen. Baruch. Asher. Amen. Beautiful. Yeah, Shekoach. Yeah. Oh, Greg. Push it all the way away from the table because otherwise you'll be on a slant and you could flip over. I don't want you to flip back. Do me a favor, Greg. Yeah, push it back a little. Do me a favor. You sure?
I have to really work at.
Okay, we're chapter 33, verse 17. Kobe?
Sorry, I'm late, Robert.
No. Well, I pray for their success, but let me ask you a question. Do you go on roller coasters?
I go on roller coasters, but there were some of them that I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
They were crazy.
But don't let anybody ever peer pressure you into doing something you don't want to do.
I did it.
Good.
I always peer pressure, Kobe.
No. You got to be strong in here. Don't let anybody convince you. Okay. For chapter 33, verse 17 of Deuteronomy. Bechor Shoro Hadarlo. So this is a beautiful pasuk. They're all beautiful. Bechor Shoro. A firstborn is his ox. What does that mean? Going to hear this pasuk on Simchas Torah many times. Many times. By the way, maybe you guys want to walk over here Simchas Torah morning. We got 10 different types of herring.
Wow.
10 different types of herring. Bechor Sharo Adarlo, a firstborn is his ox, glory unto him. What does that mean? Let's see what Rashi says. V'karnei re'im karnav, his horns are the horns of his re'im. We'll see what a re'im is. Karnav bahem, amim yinagach yachtav afsei arts. With these horns, he shall gore the peoples together at the ends of the earth. V'heim revivos Ephraim, they are the myriads of Ephraim. V'heim alfei Menashe, they are the thousands of Menashe. What does this pasuk even mean? Let's go through what Rashi says. Very, very difficult pasuk. Bechor Shoro. What does it mean? Rashi tells us that the word Bechor does not mean a firstborn here. You always think of Bechor as a firstborn, but what does it mean? Rashi says, Yesh Bechor Shu Lashon Gidula Umalchut. There is an expression of the word Bechor which means greatness and kingship. That says, Afani Bechor Etneu, I will make him a firstborn. And so too, B'ni Bechori Israel. Israel is my firstborn. Means Israel is my greatness, and they will be sovereign. Bechor, what does it mean? Melech hayotzei mimenu v'hu Yoshua. That means he's going to have a king who comes out from him. And who is this king? Joshua. Joshua comes from Ephraim. So therefore he's from Joseph. So Joseph is being told he's going to have a descendant who's a king. Now, we don't know of another king from Joseph. The only king from Joseph, there's no king from Joseph. So therefore, Rashi has to say it's a reference to Joshua, who's the equivalent of a king. Because there's no king from Joseph, except for there will be the Melech HaMashiach, Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. Okay,
Let me
Hadar,
just
well,
chip in there. Avimelech was from Joseph, and he was technically the first king. He just wasn't anointed.
well, then if you're going to say Avimelech is the king, then Joshua is the king. And
Yes,
Avimelech
Josh.
was not somebody we necessarily admire. Joshua was a good one. Avimelech was mixed reviews.
Right. But the other thing I was going to say is that according to some of the students of Rav Kook, he believed that Mashiach ben Yosef is not an actual person, but a generation. And so he blessed the people of the kibbutzim, even though they weren't religious, because they were doing things that, like Joseph, feeding the nation and preparing it for the actual Mashiach from the house of David. So
That's a beautiful explanation, Rav Kook. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, says, okay, what does it mean? Hadar lo, glory unto him, natun lo. It is given to him. Or another explanation, what does it mean? Sharo, his strength is tough. L'chvosh, sharo kochek kashor, shekocho kochek kashor. His strength is tough like an ox to conquer many kings. So he can conquer many kings. Hadar lo is glory. Natun lo, you're going to place glory on him. V'karnei ra'im karnav. What is a ra'im? What's a ra'im? Anybody know? Rashi says an ox is strong, but its horns are not beautiful. Whereas a ra'im, its horns are beautiful, but its strength is not tough. So Moshe gave to Joshua the strength of an ox and the beauty of a ra'im's horns.
What's your aim? Like
That's a very good
gazelle?
question. No, what is a ra'im?
according to Wikipedia, it's an oryx.
A what?
Oryx, Oryx.
What's that?
Let me just pull it up so you can.
In Meton Slipkin's book, I think he says it's like
A
could be the
mythical
unicorn,
creature.
yeah.
It could be like here. There are four.
Also says it's an extinct species of wild ox, or
Right.
a large ancient mythical creature.
That's what I was saying. But here, who's saying it's an Wikipedia says it's an aurochs. But most rabbinic
Wikipedia?
explanations say that it's a mythical creature.
Okay.
Like I don't think they call it a.
But these horns are beautiful. They're just maybe not
If
as
it's a beautiful
strong.
horn, maybe it's like the unicorn. So
No,
Yeah,
it couldn't be a
something like-
unicorn because a unicorn would only have one.
so that by definition, maybe it's a bicorn. The unicorn is usually associated with the tachash. The
Yes.
Gemara says it was created for that moment. The re'im is like this giant, maybe like the woolly mammoth, maybe they say.
My bar
That's
mitzvah
what it is.
students never believe me when I say that there used to be unicorns.
Of course there were. It's in the Gemara. Av Eretz, towards the ends of the earth, and you're going to crush them. There were 31 kings who Joshua defeated in the land of Canaan. Is it possible that they were all from the land of Canaan? No. But there is no king or ruler that did not acquire for himself a palace and a plot of land in the land of Israel, because it was important to all of them. So they all got a portion in the land of Canaan. It's like the same old story. 31 kings. Like, when some years from now, people are going to look at the wars Israel's in, and they'll be like, one nation with 9 people going up against these countries. How many people are in Iran? How many people are in Lebanon, in Syria, in Yemen? And there's like 100 million people maybe amongst all those countries. And what do we have? And Israel. And of the 9 million there, half of them are not fighting because they're anti. So we have like a few million people Baruch Hashem. Haim Revavos Ephraim. These are the myriads of Ephraim. A myriad is 10,000. Those who have been gored, they are the myriads that Joshua came from Ephraim, killed them. So Rashi is interpreting this whole verse to be a reference to Joshua killing these myriads. Vehem alfei Menashe. These are the thousands that Gidon, who was from the tribe of Menashe, killed in Midian, as it says, V'zevach tzamuna b'karkor. Many thousands were killed there. So that's the blessing of Joseph. That's the blessing of Joseph. Now we're up to the blessing of Zevulun. What's the matter? No, the
It was
bugs,
a bad day to wear
the
shorts.
bugs only will come after you if they sense your anxiety about that.
Is that true?
But if they sense that you don't care, they are not interested in your blood.
I thought that the power of us learning Torah would be enough to keep the bugs out, but apparently not.
No, just the opposite. The bugs are trying to distract us. The bugs are the Yetzer Hara, the Satan. I just want to say that tonight is Hoshana Rabbah. Tomorrow morning is Hoshana Rabbah. So we have all the Hashanas. We went to Baltimore today to get many Geshmak Hashanas. And also tonight at 10:30 at night, there's a custom of Tikkun Leil. You know about Tikkun Leil Shavuos? So we're doing Tikkun Leil Hoshana Rabbah. We read from the Torah the whole book of Devarim, starting from Eila Devarim, and you go all the way till Vezot Sabracha. So you read it straight from the parchment. That's at 10:30 tonight. It takes around 2 hours.
Wow.
It's Geshmak. Who was Zevulun Amar, and to Zevulun he said, we'll be right here if anybody wants to come. The Zevulun Amar, and to Zevulun he said, Samach Zevulun b'tzeisecha, v'yisachar ba'olecha. To Zevulun he said, rejoice, Zevulun, in your departure. What does that mean? And Yisachar in your tents. What does this mean? Rejoice, Zevulun, in your departure. So Rashi says now he blesses 5 tribes last. Elu chamisha shvatim shebeirach ba'achrona. Who are they? Zevulun, Gad, Naphtali, and Asher. Why? He doubled their names. Oh, this comes from the Midrash. He doubled their names to strengthen them and to fortify them, because they were the weakest of all the tribes. They are the ones that Joseph brought before Paro, as it says in Vayigash, from the end of the brothers, Miktsas Me'achav, Lakach Hamishan Hashem, and part of his brothers he took 5 men, because they looked the weakest. And to the ones who he doubled their names, he says, Zevulun Amar Samach Zevulun B'tzitzach, he doubles his name to tell us this idea that he had to strengthen them, give them a bracha of strength, because they were the weakest. Because he took in the weak brothers, so they would not appoint them to be his officers. What does it mean? Rejoice, Zevulun, in your departures, and Yisachar in your tents? She says, Zevulun and Yisachar asu shutafut. They made a partnership. Zevulun l'chov. This is a very famous Rashi. Very famous Rashi. Zevulun and Yisachar. You ever hear of the Yisachar Zevulun partnership? You never heard of it? Okay, it's very gishmak. That Zevulun and Yisachar made a partnership. That Zevulun will dwell by the seashores. He'll go into business, and he'll depart in ships, engage in business, and he'll make money. And he'll give it into Yisachar's mouth. And Yisachar will support Yisachar with the money he makes. And then they'll sit, and these men will sit and engage in the study of Torah. And so basically they'll share together in the profits of the Torah. To this day, people do Yisachar Zevulun partnerships. They do Yisachar Zevulun partnerships, and they actually write it out. You'll get half I'll give you this amount of money, and you'll get half my money. And therefore, Zevulun came before Yisachar because Yisachar's Torah came about through Zevulun. All right, we have to stop here. That's a very famous Rashi. And so we'll now daven mincha now.
Zvulun got half of their spiritual reward, right?